Hey guys, Steve-O here for Movies and TVs on the Ball, and even though we are in the middle of the 2020s, I know it's kind of shocking to me that the 2010s were about 15 years ago. My question to you guys is what movies of the 2010s, looking back on it now, kind of as we're in the middle, do you feel like the films that came out during this time really have, you look back and go, oh, that was 2010. Now, this is coming from me who grew up, who is in his sort of 30s, so it is kind of hard to kind of believe that we've had another decade of films. I would probably have to say films such as, I guess, really what kind of I wouldn't say clogged it, but what really brought the Marvel film, or the Marvel films, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was really in high gear in the 2010s, starting with Iron Man 2, Iron Man 2, and Thor, and so on and so forth. And we've really kind of been living in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since then, but other films that have done really well, I think they re-upped the Mission Impossible films. I think Mission Impossible 4 came out in 2011, and then they came out with the 5, 6, and 7 respectively coming out. And then you had the Planet of the Apes films that came out in I want to say 2011 was when Rise of the Planet of the Apes came out, and then I think it's gone on since 2021 or 2023 with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So there's 4 Planet of the Apes, but most of these are franchises. But are there films that really sort of stuck out to you, and you were like, you saw a film and you were like, okay, that's 2010. When I look at films going back to the 90s, I can tell a difference between a film such as Terminator 2 and The Matrix, where I can see Terminator 2 came out in early 90s. It felt early 90s. And The Matrix came out in 1999, which felt like late 90s. Same thing with Fight Club as well. And I also kind of believe that looking at, if you look at it through the way the film portray life, and I guess kind of going on a little bit of a pass here from just 1999, but how 1999 they really kind of talked about how there was something about, you look at, I feel like a double feature would be American Beauty, Office Space, and The Matrix would be a really interesting look at the way people in the 90s were trying to evolve to the 2000s. But that's a different thing. This is 2010s. I would say that the comic book films were pretty much alive and swinging. The Pirates of the Caribbean, they came out with the 4th one in 2011, so that was kind of the end of the dying franchise. We might see something come out from there, but then you had films such as, then you saw film franchises making a comeback, such as the Bad Boy franchise, which came out in 2020. I guess that's the 3rd one, but it was more of the superhero genre than anything that was really sort of the big thing. I think Inception, Christopher Nolan's films, and I think he's very much of an auteur, that you can kind of tell that you watch a Christopher Nolan film and you know that it's, by his style that it's a Christopher Nolan film. But I feel like, then you had the Transformers films, but that's just the auteur of Michael Bay. But then you had the girl with the dragon tattoo. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think was a really interesting, great comic book movie that was, did really well with the animation. And then you had, the... But what movies do you feel, I guess where I'm going with this is, what movies do you feel like really captivated the 2010s for you? Whereas it's, you can look at a film from the early 2000s, like, I'll give you an example, Phone Booth, where they really looked at the cell phone at the time before we got into iPhones and stuff like that. And how the cell phones were a big marketing thing, we're starting to creep up, and then it was about the last payphone in New York City, so that was a pretty interesting idea. What films? But then you had Star Wars. You had the rebirth of Star Wars in 2017, 2015, 2017, 2019. And I don't know what your thoughts are. Do you feel like, this is another question, do you feel like the sequel trilogy has the sequel trilogy lived up to at least probably not what the original trilogy did, but at least what the prequel trilogy did, maybe? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, but that's a different kind of topic. But what films that you felt like captured the decade? Leave a comment on below. Let me know which films you feel like really solidified the decade of the 2010s. And let me know in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe. If I probably missed a lot of films, but let me know as well what movies you thought were, classic 2010s films. As always, like and subscribe, and see you at the movies. Bye.